What's up guys, welcome to this new video. I got something very exciting. I found a nice set of brakes for the 190E. It's an upgrade that is very long overdue. I've been putting it to the side for way too long, but I finally found a really good set of brakes. These are from a Mercedes 300 CE, so both the front and the rear. And these are the 4-pot pistons, and these are just the 2-pot for the rear ones. The front ones are going to be vented. The rear ones are just a solid disc, but that's going to be a big upgrade. So right now on the 190E, I got just the stock brakes. These are the smallest brakes that this car came with. I believe it's a 258mm disc. The new ones, I think it's going to be 295 or 94, so it's going to be much bigger. But the biggest difference between these and the new ones, so it's kind of difficult to see, but this disc is 11 mils thick, and the new one is going to be 22 mils thick. So, and that's going to be vented, so that's going to make a huge difference when it comes to braking performance. The rear ones right now, I believe, are, I don't know the exact size out of the top of my head. I know the new ones are quite a bit bigger. The new ones are going to be 278, I believe, and slightly bigger calipers. So slightly bigger calipers. So it's going to be a nice upgrade. We are going to have to modify some stuff to kind of get it to fit. So yeah, the stock brakes, you know, as I said before, it's just a solid rotor. I have actually had these like light on fire before because of the heat. So if you want to do the same to your 190E, any W124 brakes will fit on the 190E. So you can get the smaller ones, you can get the bigger ones, whatever you want. They all will fit. The only thing you need to keep in mind is that on some of them, you are going to have to shave about 1 to 2 mils away from the lower control arm, which is not bad. It's just grinding it away and that's it. And you might have to modify the dust shield, or you can just get the proper dust shields that belong to the calipers, and they will fit on this car too. I will link a document in the description below that's gonna have all the different brakes, the sizes, the part numbers, and basically anything you need to do the same I did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments and I will make sure to help you out. Yeah, so the next thing I'm gonna do is, of course, we need to restore them. I already took off all the different brake parts. Luckily, like these ones actually came off super easy. They weren't like rusted through, so that's very promising. So I also hope that the pistons are gonna come out. I am going to replace all the seals on these, but I will see if the pistons are in good shape. I really hope they are in good shape. I already know on the rear ones are gonna have to be replaced because the mating surface that touches the brake pad is a little bit damaged, and these ones look in good condition, but we need to see the actual piston to see if it actually is in good shape. So I'm really hoping these will come out in just, you know, not too much effort. I'm gonna get these sandblasted. I was kind of negotiating between just sanding them down myself, but I think it's just worth it because it's only 60 euros to get them completely sandblasted. So I'm just gonna get that done, and then we're gonna spray them in a yellow. This is the same yellow I currently have on my car. I think it looks okay. So let's go ahead and try to remove all the pistons, and then we can go ahead and get them sandblasted. So as you can see, it was a little bit of a struggle to get them out, especially with 4 of them, because you're trying to get a specific one to move out, but all the other ones will pop out. So it was a little bit of a struggle. But good news, all of these are actually in really good condition. They need to be cleaned up a little bit, but they're actually in really clean condition. So I'm really happy with that. So let's hope that it's the same for the other one. These two, I know I'm gonna have to replace the pistons, but I'm really happy. It's gonna save a little bit of money. Also the insides look really good. Brand new. Well, brand new. New as they can be. So I'm gonna continue to do the other ones. And I will see you guys when I've disassembled all of them. Alright, so I completed disassembling all of them and then I got them sandblasted. So after sandblasting I went on a holiday, so they kind of flash rusted again. So I put them in a bucket of rust converter to get them nice and clean again. So the next step is going to be to mask off the insides and all the stuff you don't want to get paint on. And I'm going to hang them on this piece of wood so I can spray them from every direction. Alright, so I got everything masked off, as you can see. So I hang it up, so I can easily spray it from every angle. So for the paint, I got a 2K epoxy primer. I haven't used any 2K primers yet, so this is my first time. We'll see how it goes. I also got a 2K caliper paint. So previously I used just a 1K, so I'm curious to see how this will perform. Probably a little bit better. We're gonna find out. So let's go ahead and start spraying. Right guys, so all the brake calipers has been repainted. They turned out really nice. So I let them cure for about 2 weeks, so they're nice and hard. So we can continue with rebuilding them. Then we can install them on the car. So I got everything which I need to do this. So you can see the new front brake disc, which is like a much larger size. And then the rear one is also slightly bigger, but especially the front one, that's the biggest difference. We're going to compare it to the one that's on there right now. And you will see why that's such a big difference. It's not only just the size of it, but also just the width. That's the biggest difference. So I did end up getting the rebuild kit for the calipers. That includes the pistons, because they were not much more expensive. So I was like, let's just go for it anyway. So that's what I did. The only problem is that on the rear calipers, I do have 2 different generations of the same caliper. One of them has just the normal flat bottom on the piston, and then one of them has like more of a deeper groove. So that's the only difference. And you can also see the difference on the inside of the caliper itself. So for those, I am going to reuse these ones, because if you use the one with the flat bottom, it almost bottoms out, but not all the way. So I don't want to take any risk with that. So we're going to reuse these, and these are actually in really good shape. So mainly the front ones that are slightly damaged, but the 2 ones that I need to reuse are still really nice, except for a little bit of rust, but they are in great condition. So that will be fine, but all the front ones will be replaced, and then the other side of the rear will also be replaced. So also got new brake pads, I got new hardware for everything. So we pretty much can just go ahead and rebuild them and then install them on the car. So let's go ahead and first start with inserting the new pistons and seals. Alright, so I've installed all the pistons, the seals, and the clips holding it in place. These like squared off rings were actually really difficult to install. It took me quite a long time, but I think they're seated properly now. So of course the next step is going to be to remove the old brakes, and then let's start installing the new ones. So let's go ahead and remove the wheels and get started. Alright, so everything has been removed. So you can see the size of the new one is already quite a bit bigger, but the biggest difference is in how wide they are. So you can see that this one is really thin, so about 11 mils, and this one is 22. So that's gonna be the biggest difference and why this brake disc will perform much better than the older one. To get the new brakes to fit, we do have to make a little bit of a modification to the dust shield. It's mainly to the bottom side. So the top side won't interfere with the new brake disc, but the bottom side, it will hit right here. And then after this, the knuckle, we have to grind off a little bit of material, not much, just a little bit, to make sure that we have the clearance to fit the new brake disc. So we're just gonna take an angle grinder and cut a little bit off and then grind a little bit off the material, and that's it. We don't have to do much more. So I think you can get the proper dust shields that belong to the brakes, but I think you will still have to modify it because you do have the clearance issue with the bottom of the knuckle, even if you get the proper dust shield. Or maybe they already have a cutout, I'm not sure. But that's also another option. But you need to keep in mind, to replace the dust shield, you are going to have to remove the wheel bearing. So I think I might look into that once I replace the wheel bearing to also get a proper dust shield. For now, we're just going to modify it, and that's it. So let's go ahead and get the angle grinder and start grinding. Okay, I forgot to hit the record button, but basically what I did is you can clearly see that it just straight up, that's it. That's the only thing you have to do. So this piece right there is basically what was removed. It's just the bottom piece. The rest you can leave alone, or maybe you have to hit it a little bit. This part of the knuckle has to be ground on just a little bit to make sure that the brake disc can fully clear. You don't have to take off a lot, it's just a little bit. So I will show you how much I'm going to remove. Okay, so finished grinding off, so it's just a little bit to make sure we have the clearance of the side. And I also did hit the dust shield a little bit to make sure it's out of the way, but that's basically it. So the next step is going to be to reinstall this little bolt, and then we can go ahead and install the new brake caliper. Okay, so the front one has been installed. So it looks really nice. It just physically looks a lot better than the old brakes. It's of course a lot bigger. I also did the other side. So we're also finished on this side. There's one small problem, and that's my rims don't fit with these brakes or with these calipers. So the spokes of my wheels are like barely hitting this side of the caliper. So I need a very small spacer before I can refit my rims. So I ordered a couple of those. The rear ones already have spacers, and the rear brakes are also a lot smaller. So even without spacers, I wouldn't have any issues. It's purely the front. So if you're doing the same, you need to keep in mind that if you have the old brakes, that the new ones are quite a bit more, or they stick out quite a bit more. So you need to keep that in mind. So the next step, of course, is going to be to finish the rear. Okay, so now the rear is also finished. So if you kind of compare it to the old one, it isn't much bigger. It is slightly bigger, especially the brake pads are a good size bigger. The brake disc is also pretty big compared to the old one. At least this brake disc is bigger than the old one that was in the front. So it is a really nice upgrade. So the last step, of course, is going to be to bleed all the brakes. And of course, what I'm going to use is one of these power bleeders. So these basically put pressure on the brake system and it allows you to bleed it all by yourself. So you don't need extra hands, you don't need to pump the brakes or anything like that. I would highly recommend to get one of these. Is, you know, a really good way to bleed your brakes. Also with this car, to bleed the clutch, the only way I've found to properly bleed it is with one of those. So they're pretty inexpensive, so I would just highly recommend to get one. Okay, so on the reservoir we're going to install this adapter piece, which will allow us to connect it to the power bleeder. So make sure it's on there nice and tight. It needs to be completely air sealed. And we're going to put some fresh fluid in here, and then it's just a matter of connecting this hose. Okay, so the hose is connected. And I'm just going to do it to about 20 psi, is what I usually do. Okay, so I got it about, I don't know, 19. So what you can do is kind of just leave it for a little bit, because it will also tell you if there's any major leaks. So if it's quickly dropping pressure, this is going to let you know very quickly. So I'm just going to let it sit for a little bit and take a look at all the different brakes to see if nothing is leaking, and then we're going to continue with bleeding them one by one. Obviously, we're going to start with the one that's furthest away from the reservoir, which is the rear right, then this side, then this side, and then we finish off with this side, which is the closest to the reservoir. Alright, so I've bleeded all the brakes. Did go over them twice to make sure that they are properly bled. The brake pedal feels really nice, so the last thing to do is of course to reinstall all the tires. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to wait for a spacer in front because the front tire is just a little bit too much inwards. It interferes with the caliper. So I'm gonna have to wait for that to come in, but at least we can install the rear, and I will see you guys when that's finished. Alright, so the new brakes are finally installed. I got my spacers in front, so I went with 10 mils, which has plenty of clearance. So let's go ahead and take this car for a spin and see how the new brakes perform. So let's test out the new brakes. Yeah, you can see that's a very big difference. They perform way better. So I'm trying not to lock up the brakes because they're still new. So I did already break them in, but I'm still going to kind of try to not lock them up. But yeah, I already like, it's a big, yeah, you can brake so hard now. Like the difference with the ones before is just absolutely massive. It just feels way better. Compared over this, yeah, it just feels way better. So I do got the left front scraping now because of the spacer. So that's something I have to fix, but that will probably just be bending a little bit of the fender. But yeah, I'm really happy with the result. So I'm still going to break them in by going for a nice long drive. So I also got a new brake booster and a new master cylinder that also came from the E3 300CE, I mean. I'm also going to install those pretty soon. and I will make a video about it too. So the bigger brake booster and master cylinder aren't going to really make a performance difference, but they are going to make a difference to the pedal, which I also want to do. So if you don't want to miss that video, make sure to subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time.